Now, I'm sure at some point, as you've read through different books of the New Testament, you've read some and you thought, why are these so short? There should be more to this. That's it? I mean, you read Jude or 3rd John and you think, really? Okay. 2nd John's another one of those books that's short. But we have to remember that these were letters originally, that these were letters addressed, and that a lot of times the writers had other thoughts in mind. Just like here in 2nd John, in verse 12, John says, I have much to write to you, but I don't want to use paper and ink. Instead, I want to visit with you and talk to you face to face so that our joy may be complete. Then we can understand this and we can recognize this in our own selves, especially today, that face to face always beats paper or electronics or whatever it is. That meeting face to face has great value. And John recognizes this as well. Somehow conveying it on paper, while it can be important, especially back then when you might be gone for months or even years at a time, you would correspond. But the face to face has power and it has strength. And so it can be coming in like this, where John writes a letter and then he shows up eventually to reinforce it, to help understand them and make sure that they're following what it is that they were supposed to be doing. And if they are, and if they're not, how can we correct it? And so John wants to come meet them face to face so that his joy and their joy can be complete, so that they can encourage one another, so they can sacrificially serve one another, because that's ultimately where we get our joy, is through sacrificial love for others. That's what a lot of this letter was about, as a matter of fact. And did you catch all that? You remember when we started this whole thing, we talked about that there were some things that I wanted you to look at. I wanted you to look for 4 different things. You remember what those are? Maybe? Well, let's see how you did. First of all, I wanted you to recognize the love aspect of it, okay? Did you find out that love, were you able to identify and live a life of true love? All right, so that was one of the things. Another part of it that I wanted you to do was I wanted you to be able to identify truth. So how'd you do? Were you able to identify truth? Were you able to discover how to know what truth meant? Okay. Then the other one is that we wanted you to know that Jesus is the one true God. Okay. That he is it. He is the one that we should be following, not a half Messiah, but the whole entire Messiah. And then we saw in verse 10 and 11 that we needed to be careful as it is to who we hung out with, who we spent time with, what we did together. So there you go. Your 4 things. Number 1, the most important, Jesus is the Messiah. There is only one truth. Maybe that should be number 1 again. Beware of who you fellowship with. Be aware of who you fellowship with, and understand that you need to walk as love, because love is not flexible. So then John closes out his letter with, the children of your sister who is chosen by God send their greetings. Now remember, we talked about this at the very beginning as to who the lady was, and most scholars these days believe that the lady is a church. So in this case, John's saying, hey, your sister churches, the churches that are a part of this fellowship, they send their greetings, they send their love, because they, like you, have been chosen by God. Now we're going to end with that part, because I want to end with a very good encouragement, that if you are a follower of Christ, I want you to remember that you were chosen by God. As much as we like to think that we have free choice in terms of things that we do, and we do have free choice. I mean, I have the freedom to fix my hair how I want to. When it comes to our salvation, it is only through the compulsion of the Holy Spirit and through us being willing to listen to the Holy Spirit that we become saved. But we don't have as much say in that as we think, because God, being his sovereign being that he is, he chooses us. We become what's called the elect, which means that he has chosen us to be his children. And you should rest in that beautiful knowledge. You should rest knowing that God loved you so much that you were chosen to be his children. And that's a great encouragement. So as you read this letter, know that when it talks about to the elect and to her children, that's you. You're one of those. And so we can take John's words to heart. We can take his admonitions and we can think about them and we can process them so that we can then live them out, because we, just like they, have been chosen by God. All right, see you next time.